Everybody, welcome back to the Purple Friday show. The Ravens get a win across the pond. But first, we want to have our co-host Trey was there in London, London town. All week. Taking in the festivities and stuff, and just let us know, what the vibe was, and how the NFL, I guess, throws things in when these seasons. I said I haven't gone to an international series game yet, so I don't know what they do with the festivities and everything else to keep everybody engaged in these games. So how was it, before the game and then during the game, how that all went down?
Yeah, it was a really really good experience. You can tell that they're starting to get used to hosting these games over there. The NFL did a really great job with just organizing all the events surrounding the game, leading up to the game, during the game. Like it was they really hosted it really well to the point where I think obviously they're going to keep increasing the amount of games they're going to be having over there and things like that. They kind of mastered it at this point. And this being for this season specifically, this was I believe the third game, the third London game, but this is like the second game they had in that specific stadium at Tottenham Hotspur Arena, and they did it well. I mean, before the game, my whole thing, when I travel for these games or whatever the case may be, my big thing, I want to make sure that I'm able to get the full experience. I want to tailgate with the fans. I want to, visit whatever sites I need to see. But the tailgate situation when you pull up, um, it was crazy. It was almost like how in a out here, depending on where you're at, the tailgate is usually like in a parking lot, and then you just
Yeah.
you love on the back of the cars and you're grilling and you're drinking and all that stuff. For this stadium is one big strip. So everyone catches the train to the stadium. Really, hardly anyone's driving to the stadium. Is everyone's on a train. So it's kind of crazy. But if you get there early enough, it was doable. We got there like a good 2.5 hours early, maybe pushing 3 hours early. So we were down there, and it was already kind of madness. But when we got to the stadium, it's like a strip, and it's literally just all pubs, bars, restaurants, the whole nine, and it's just a free for all. Like everyone's just loading up on beers and food, and it wasn't like a parking lot type situation. It was kind of like you're just chilling on like a Bourbon Street type situation before the game. So that was kind of crazy because I'm sitting here like, wow, like people about to walk into the stadium blasted because this it's just so easily accessible. It's not like super long lines to anything. They're getting you in and out. Like you're ordering, you get
It's
your stuff, you're just walking.
London, man. London.
It was great. Like that
They
part of it
drink.
was great. And the Ravens fans, we travel really well. We dominated the stadium. I rewatched the broadcast today, and it kind of confirmed what I felt while I was there was that it was definitely more Ravens fans than there were Titans fans. Obviously, it was a London game, so lot of teams, all 32, were kind of represented there in some form or fashion. But the Ravens dominated that. As far as the fans traveling, the Ravens definitely came in full force. Definitely had a lot more fans there than the Titans did, even though it was technically a Titans home game. Definitely felt like home walking into the arena. And then yeah, once we got into the arena, very clean, efficient, cashless arena. So everything's very speedy. You tap in your car, get your stuff, you out of there. They fill up the beers from the bottom of the cup. You just sit them on these platforms, and the beer just loads up. It rises to the top. I got a video of it. I'll show you guys later. Um, yeah, and that's really all they were selling. I don't think they were selling like cocktails. It was just beers. You just what beer you want, and it was just that. The one thing was a little weird. It was a couple of fans like when they get excited, and you know, I chatted with a lot of locals and that were there, and I guess maybe the sign of respect, they offer you to drink some beer from their cup, and I had to deny a whole lot of fans like, no, thank you, I'm good. But I don't know if that was disrespectful or what, but yeah, they were like, man, have a pint, and they'll just hand you your cup of beer that they've been sipping on. I'm like, no, no, thank you, I'm good. But besides that, everything was cool. Even the bathroom lines went quick, man. Like everything's just so much more efficient over there, just as far as like the stadium experience. And then yeah, I thought it was gonna be a cold game. I think the high was supposed to be like 52. As soon as I sat down on my section, we got sunlight the whole first quarter and a half. So it was actually kind of hot for a while. By halftime, it was like the regular temperature, but there wasn't really any wind blowing either. So it was pretty much comfortable the whole game. Only thing I was worried about was, that turf field. They got a 100% turf field over there. And as excited as I was for the game, I was just hoping that we came out without, any injuries and things like that. And I think we did get out of that game safely. I think Simpson might have went down for a bit, but he returned back to that game. But yeah, man, overall, just great experience. The fans are great. You can tell the fans are getting used to this. Like, the London fans, when you used to watch on TV, it just kind of looked real confusing. Like, they don't even know what they're cheering for. But they have some real fans over there. They know the game. And yeah, the feeling is just that everyone just waiting around. Just every year they're just hoping that their team gets to play in London. So yeah, it was definitely a dope experience. Definitely enjoyed the game, and yeah, just glad we came out with the W. That was just the cherry on top, but I enjoyed myself regardless.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's dope.
Yeah, it's I haven't been blessed enough. Even though when I was in London, we were trying to go to a game. West Ham was playing Chelsea, I think it was, and we couldn't get tickets to the game. Apparently, it's like for soccer fans in London, especially people that live there get priority. So if you come from out of the country and stuff, like it's almost like it's a crapshoot getting tickets. So, but I heard like the stadiums there are just like real like. It's amazing how much attention they pay to the actual fan experience versus how the NFL is more worried about how much money they can get out of you without giving you the extra stuff. Like it's a whole other thing. Yeah.
And you can tell it was still like NFL production. Like London, they do let the NFL just take over and
Nice.
their typical, like whatever the Titans does in their home stadium in Nashville or in Tennessee, they do the exact same intros, the music that they play. They pretty much went with the whole thing. So if it was a Ravens home game, it probably would have mimicked exactly what M&T Bank would have looked like. So I thought that was really cool as well. So that was dope.
I mean, during the course of the game, from where you were sitting and stuff, we know, once they got to, I think after that Derrick Henry run, and what was it, the pick that Lamar threw and they scored a touchdown off of that. Did it kind of feel in the arena that feel like here we go again? Like this is the Steelers game all over again. Like I was like, I was listening on the radio on the way home. I was like, I kind of already accepted myself. Well, they lose.
It felt like it, but at the same time, it kind of didn't. I think the one thing when you're playing the Titans, the difference with a lot of those games where we were those leads were getting blown. It was mainly because of the quarterback, and Tannehill up to that point had been playing like garbage. Malik. What's his name? Malik
Willis.
Willis came in. Our defense beat him up as well. I didn't really, Derrick Henry is a great running back, but it's not like he could have, at some point you got to watch the clock, and I don't even think they had timeouts at that game to even, use him as a method to come back in. But yeah, can't say I wasn't nervous when the score was 18-15. I mean, at that point we should have had a few touchdowns. We weren't like 1 for 6 or 7 or something from the red zone. So yeah, I was nervous because we couldn't get in the end zone, but I wasn't nervous because of Tannehill or Malik Willis. That part made me, I wasn't concerned with the way our defense had been to that point. But I will say that direct snap to Derrick Henry when he took that, like
they got him. He picked everybody up.
That one had me a little bit shook.
Because I looked back at the game and they showed the replay. That was Patrick Queen's responsibility to hit that gap. And when he made fake the pitch back, Queen just left. Queen thought they were going the other way, and it was wide open.
Yeah.
And basically, Marcus Williams over here tackling people with his like fingertips and whatnot. It felt like look watching him because I only heard it on the radio, and I think I was just watching you guys on the chat and stuff. And I'm just like, yo, he's out here really playing with one hand. I'm like, really? And I'm watching the game during lunch or whatever. And I'm like, yo, he really is out there playing with one hand because there were two opportunities in that game where he could have had picks easy.
Yeah.
If he had both his hands working, those are picks. But he can only knock it away, and the other one I think he dove across and knocked it. Like, if he has both his hands, bam, pick.
And that tackle, he's tackling Henry, that touchdown saving tackle that he made. He's tackling with one arm
with his shoulder,
and you can tell he's trying to protect himself from the other shoulder getting contact. So he's like doing double duty there.
Yeah.
And whatever brace he has on, it's made to restrict certain movements. So it's like it's even protecting him from, even if he wanted to try to make a move,
he can't. Right, the brace is
keeping his arm in a certain place. So I don't know how he's doing it. I mean, but he still made two great plays. I mean, a game-saving touchdown, that touchdown that he made on him. I mean, the tackle. I'm sorry, that he made on Henry, and also that knockaway, that broken up pass with the one arm. Those are two phenomenal plays that we needed. But it like you said, it could have been 6 as well. It could have been interception. So
go ahead, Travis.
No, I was saying, like I was looking at the replay of the batted ball, and it looked like he just lunged his arm out there just to try to get something there. Like the positioning of it was like he could have picked it off if he had two good arms, but he's like, I'm just throwing out whatever I got, but he still was able to knock it away. I mean, look, the restrictiveness of that brace reminds me of when Ray Lewis tore his bicep. I can't remember if it was our Super Bowl year or before that.
The Super Bowl.
Oh yeah,
it was like 3 weeks before that wild card game against the Colts, and I think they gave him the option. They were like, you can either wear the one with the restrictor on it, or you can wear this like the Transformer brace. Brace that went all the way up to his shoulder. Because there were times in the game where he had to readjust or whatever, but he was like, I want full motion, so he opted to wear the robotic brace thing, Terminator brace, as I call it. So
kudos
he had
to
that
Marcus
option.
though. Like if playing like a Raven was a person right now, it'd be Marcus Williams, man, because he's just throwing his body out there, doing whatever needs to be done. Unlike some other NFL players, Anthony Richardson, who just taking season-ending surgery. But kudos to Marcus.
Well, look, it might be a blessing in disguise that he got his hamstring injury, because I feel like Harbaugh would have just kept him out there, and I'm like, I don't want to. As much as I like Marcus Williams, I don't want him out there if he's going to be playing with one arm. Like, if there are opportunities, especially in the game where he's able to make get a turnover or something, but he can't get it because he only has one arm. And I'm like, it could be one of those game saving. I'm like, but then once Marcus goes down the hamstring, here comes Geno. Like, it was actually a Geno play. It was Kyle Hamilton already gotten out because of the ejection. And Geno Stone comes flying out of nowhere. And gets the interception. He's 3 interceptions now. I think he's tied for the league lead.
Big Geno.
No one thought Geno's been balling, man. I can't look. There's everybody's been saying it on the radio. There's no reason why he should not be on the field. At this point, like, he's getting turnovers. Like because remember the Titans during that were driving down the field at that point. Ravens, I think, still had a 5-point lead. They were driving down the field, and Geno comes out of nowhere. And I looked at that play again. I replayed it a couple times. Marlon got beat on that play by the tight end. The tight end was ahead. Like, he beat him on that play. If Ryan Tannehill throws a better ball there, that could be a touchdown. Like, if he throws it to him in stride, that's a touchdown, because that tight end had like a few yards in between him and Marlon. But luckily for Marlon, Geno came right out of nowhere and gets that ball. So, and then they ended up kicking the field goal. That definitely puts them up, I think, by 8 at that point. So I wanted to get your guys' opinion. Now, a lot of people had some criticisms about the ejection of Kyle Hamilton. No one really had an issue with the flag. Like, okay, it was helmet to helmet. They're going to call it every time. But it was like, you're going to eject him? Even the guys on the radio were like, you're going to eject him for that? Like, I've seen guys getting hit in the head all year this year, same kind of hits, never got ejected. And one of the guys made a good point on the radio, was like, this is the London game. It's a nationally broadcast game on the NFL Network. And, they're trying to market this game across to another group of people in another country, another continent. And they don't want to bring that brand of football to that side of the pond. They said, frankly, if this was a 1 o'clock game or even a 4 o'clock game, no, they wouldn't have cared. He would have gotten the flag. He would still been in the game. But because of where it was and when it was, is why he got ejected. So it was like, which is why here we are sitting Wednesday. Everybody's expecting, is he going to get suspended for a week because of that hit? I haven't heard anything. If anything, he's going to probably get a fine, and he'll continue to play. But what did you guys, when you Trey, you were there and the ejection happened? You guys, everybody, I was confused. They were like, "Is he ejected? Like, what's going on?"
Yeah, I think and I did just hear about it. I think earlier today they said he's unlikely to be suspended, so it sounds like it's just probably going to be a fine, probably a couple of fines. When I was at the game, obviously I thought the ejection was ridiculous. I mean, I didn't think at that point that you made like, it's a nationally, it's a international game, nationally televised, all of that all makes sense. But from the stands, I couldn't tell how crazy it was, but he did show the replay, and I was like, oh wow, that was a crazy hit. But I still didn't think it warranted an ejection at that point until today when I saw the whole game back on the broadcast, and I realized the first guy, I think it was a tight end, Josh Wiley?
Yeah, he hit him good too.
Josh Wild. He was getting tackled, I think, by PQ and one other player. They already had him, he was going down, and Kyle Hamilton came out of nowhere and just smashed him like right on the helmet, and he got a concussion from that. So the fact that happened in the same game, and then you put this hit that was even worse than that one right after in the same game, okay, that warrants an ejection. I couldn't.
Yeah, they may have kept that in the back pocket. Like, if he does it again.
Yeah, and I don't even think they called him for the first.
Yeah, they didn't flag it at all.
Yeah, they didn't.
But even though they didn't call it, I think you put two guys out of the game. I mean, two concussions. They're going to do that every single time. So even if the flag wasn't there, he getting ejected, I guess, is still warranted. But he's going to pay a hefty price. So I'm not mad at the ejection after rewatching it. While I was there and throwing beers back, of course I was pissed. But after I came back home, settled down to rewatch it, I'm like, oh, okay, he knocked two of their players out with concussions, both of them on offense. Yeah, it was pretty much warranted. But he's going to feel it in his pockets because he's going to get a fine for both of those hits. And hopefully he continues to come with that passion, that heat on the field. I don't want this to deter his play because
keep hitting, man.
Big part of his game right now, and I want to keep seeing it. But obviously, hopefully he can just find a safer way to do it.
They said too, like when I looked back at it, and they said if the way Wiley got up a little woozy, but they kind of checked in when he got to the sideline. When Chris Moore was getting up, like he was clearly concussed. Like his hand was doing this. Like he was even the teammates, because usually teammates they want guys. Guys want to keep playing, right? They usually, like, if they don't want to draw too much attention to themselves, that they get hurt like that. But even his teammates were like, nah, man. Like, no, you're in trouble. Like you need to stop. Like he was trying to get there, whatever. They were like seeing that on TV. I think also was like, yeah, we gotta Hamilton now.
Yeah. Luckily they got a bye week because they did say they both these guys did enter the protocol. So
oh wow.
Yeah, and look, I mean, neither one looked in like I'm gonna knock you out. Like it's just I'm trying to make a play. And look, the Ravens, especially the way they play defense and their brand of football is, it's a gang tackling thing. Everybody circles to the ball, they find the ball here it is, and everybody just hits the guy. Like it's what they do. And it's like, look, at the end of the day, I've always said, with the NFL, these guys are aware the dangers of the game. They know they've been playing since Pee Wee, since high school. Like it's part of the game. It's one of those things. You're gonna get hit. You're gonna get a concussion at some point. Like whether it be a teammate, we've seen guys do friendly fire, or they knock their own player out. Like it's part of the game. We got guys running at 4.3 speeds at full speed. Like I mean, guys are gonna get hit. It's gonna get hurt. But
and it's not a big thing. I mean, it's really just an adjustment in his technique, because I was looking at the replay again just now, and his head was ducked all the way down. I mean, You get your head up. I don't think you get the same. I don't think you get the
same.
same hit. You don't get the ejection. So it's just small technique stuff. But
You hurt
I
yourself.
love the passion, man. Like you said, Trey, I love the passion. So I hope he keeps hitting.
Yeah.
Look, and also Matabike had I think 2.5 sacks in that game. I think he got a sack and a half last week too. Like the last 2 weeks, Matabike has been balling. Like he's been
No
phenomenal
flags.
in the interior line. You know, it's the first couple games he struggled was getting personal fouls, and you know, it seems like it was frustrating for him. But now he's kind of locked in. To Clowney was still doing his thing out there. Kyle Van Noy has been he's been a huge asset, and he's only played 2 games now for the Ravens. But that's what they said. You know, he's having a veteran presence out there on that line, especially with how young they are, is showing. You know, the experience is needed. Like he may not necessarily know the playbook, but he knows the schemes. Like he knows the zones, he knows all that other stuff. He knows what to look for. And so he's like, I'll learn the playbook as I go along, but as I'm out there, you know, I can kind of feel things out and see where they are. But he even talked about that one, I think towards the end of the game, Roquan made a play where he let the guy get up. The guy was on the ground. He lets him get up, knowing they can't they can't at that point run the clock out. Lets him get up and then tackles him.
Mm-hmm.
They were like that, the kind of IQ play. They were like, I have never seen anybody do something like that before. But you see Roquan sit there and watch him get like, all right, because he knows if I touch him here, then it's going to be right down, right before the 2-minute warning, right before it. And then he lets him get up, run a couple seconds off, bam, and it's like 158, 157 left. It's like, that's wasted. You can't really do anything with it. So it's like, you can't get another playoff. So I was like, the awareness that Roquan has right now is like next level. Outside of Fred Warner, I don't know if there's another better linebacker right now. He has Micah Parsons, but he kind of floats around. He's just an all-around defensive player.
He's like an edge.
He's just a straight rusher,
yeah. I guess he's an edge. He's more of a pass rusher. But yeah, outside of like just how
impactful
he's been for the Ravens, especially this year, I don't know if there's a better person right
Baby
now.
Ray.
Now, on the offensive side of the ball, look, it's the same story we've been seeing. And they said now, I think the Ravens are 2-9 of their last red zone attempts. Going into the game, though, I think they said they were top 5. They're top 5 in red zone percentage. And that, I mean, that's from the first 4 or 5 games, right? I mean, they were running these Lamar quarterback draws or, you know, option plays or whatever up the middle, and it's working to a T. All of a sudden now, the last 3 weeks, it feels like they just something tells me that's a Harbaugh thing. Harbaugh doesn't want, he's like, I don't want Lamar doing that anymore. There's got to be a reason why we haven't seen any attempt at that play call anymore. There's no reason. There are a couple attempts they had within the 5-yard line, and they didn't run that play not once. The other thing that kind of got me too about this offense, the Titans, as I looked, were one of the best rushing defenses in the league. But the fact I think that they don't have J.K. Dobbins I think the impact of J.K. not being there is showing how much of a loss he's been for the zone running scheme, because that's what Todd Monken likes to run. And look, Justice Hill is fast and everything, get me wrong, but he's not. I don't consider him a pure running back, and I like a J.K. Dobbins is. Mm-hmm. He's like, he can't really get outside, and he can't, you know, find those gaps between the guard and the tackle and stuff, and then take it down the sideline like J.K. could and can. Having Gus Edwards there, like, he's a straight line up the A-gap runner. That's what he does. And they kept doing that, especially in the second half, consistently. They just kept, even at the goal line. How many times did they just run up the A-gap, They didn't try anything outside. They didn't try. Watching the Chargers-Cowboys game, them running a similar offense on the line, and Gerald Everett goes out for like a back shoulder catch. I'm like, why can't we do stuff like that? Why can't we just run Andrews down the side, hike the ball, and he's already running wide open, back shoulder, end zone? Like, why is it that we struggle doing this kind of stuff? And then again, like I said, why are there no, you know, quarterback draws in the red zone when Lamar is, you know, clearly have it going, especially with that fourth quarter when Lamar was like, it was a 3rd and 3 or 4th and 3 or something like that. And Lamar's dead to rights. And he like shakes like 3 guys and runs it for the first down. I'm like, so Lamar, here's my thing. I understand like mobile quarterbacks have a shorter career span than most other players. But you gotta if you can't worry about that if you're like the coach or the game man, the game planner, or the offensive coordinator stuff. You're trying to win football games at the end of the day. And your best player is in the red. There's no reason why Lamar shouldn't have at least one play in the red zone. You shouldn't have because if you're not going to run it, teams aren't going to respect it. And I don't know. It just sometimes the play calling to me, and then it felt like sometimes during that game, Harbaugh got too conservative. Sometimes where he's like, "I'm just going to kick the field goal." And I was like, "All you need is a yard. Get the yard." I'm like, it's again. There's certain point you as a head coach, you understand. It's fine to go for it on 4th and 1 in the red zone, depending on the situation, right? Depending on the game, right? Where it is in the game when you should be doing it. And I felt like a couple of times that Harbaugh, because he didn't use Tucker the last couple of weeks, felt like he needed to overuse him. I think Tucker kicked 6 field goals in this football game.
Yeah.
But even then, after the Titans scored their touchdown, it was 5 points. It was like, here we go. So I'm like, my question, I guess, for you guys, when do you feel like this Ravens offense, if ever, is going to just press down a little bit on the gas pedal?
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is exactly what you said. I think it's a little bit of overcompensating for the mistakes that he made in that Steelers game with us not taking the points and leaving points out there on the field. And also, I think it's also a combination of the opponent. I mean, our defense was playing so well. I think he just probably wasn't concerned with the field goals, being an issue because I guess we were playing well. So he's like, it's not going to be a big deal. We're pretty much holding them out the end zone just as much as they're holding us out the end zone. But we're at least getting in the red zone way easier. So I think he was just kind of overcompensating for that. You're right about the running back situation. J.K. is definitely missed. The running backs that we have now are really good backs, but they're one-dimensional. Justice Hill, he's good at what he's good at, and Gus Edwards, he's good at what he's good at. And neither one of those guys are good at what each other are good at. So J.K. kind of had the best of both worlds in that case where, he had the burst where he can get you outside, and he also had the power where he can go up the middle as well. And not having that versatility back there is definitely, kind of hindering us a little bit for that take. But yeah, John, I just think, what we've kind of made our name for in the last like 3 or 4 seasons, if not more than that, has been going for it on 4th down. But when you lose games and John gets asked all week about this decision of not kicking a field goal, it's kind of like, it's hindsight 22, but, I guess he's just, whatever happens, the heat from taking points and not going for it is going to be way less than the heat from not taking the points and losing the game. True. So I think at that point, he just had that recent game in his head, and, he's like, at this point, we just need to get out of here with a win. And as conservative as it is, I'm not necessarily mad at it. I do like the idea of going for it and giving your offense confidence, because I think that does build a lot more momentum when you can go for it and get it. But if you look back and he doesn't get it,
right.
Now we're looking at a different conversation. So it's tough. Either or. It's this week. I'm not mad at it. There will be weeks where he's going to have to, just go for it. We're gonna have to go all out and go for the first down. I mean, that's what we know. Our team has built our brand on not caring. I mean, he used to use analytics. It seems to me this season, which I'm not 100% mad at him, it seems like analytics are more out the window this year than I've seen in any other season. Yeah. Every other season, it seems like it's always a calculator involved. These few weeks, it seems like he's doing what he thinks we should be doing. So I'm not mad at it just coming off the loss we came off of. And the Titans, they were the most conservative. I think if anything, they should be criticized for not going for it, because they had a couple of fourth and very shorts and elected to kick the field goal, which I was surprised. I'm like, you guys are the underdog in this game. Like in some cases, it makes more sense for you to go for it because you not only need, those points to build a larger lead, but you need the momentum more than what we needed based on how we were playing at that point in the game. So the Titans fans I was sitting around, they were saying they were pissed at Vrabel for not going forward on a lot of those downs, especially when you have Derrick Henry, and he didn't even take. I think he barely took 50% of the snaps in that game. Like I think Tajay Spears was actually probably doing better than him. If you take out the 2 chunk plays that Derrick Henry had, it really did nothing. It really did nothing. But you have them. So if it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and you're kicking a field goal and you're inside the 20, it's like
it's overthinking it, man.
Yeah,
you got talent. Let your players.
We have Lamar Jackson, but we don't have Derrick Henry in the background. So it's hindsight 22, and we won the game, so I can't criticize him too much.
Yeah. My criticism is this offense gives us 2 quarters of great offense, and then 2 quarters of mediocre, inconsistent, mysterious, don't know what you want to do, indecisive, conservative offense. Every single game. It's like we see that flash, we get all excited, our adrenaline gets going, and then it's like blah. And I don't know what it is. The other thing I'm saying is like we have a lack of identity inside the red zone. We don't know what we want to do. Even in the weeks that we were successful, there were moments where we were like, remember week 1, they threw that same screen to Zay like 4-3. Well, they threw it to Odell, then to Zay.
And Nelson got it too, right?
3 times in a row. I think on the next drive. But it was like, what do we want to do? What is our identity inside the red zone? And similar to what Miles says, what has been our identity inside the red zone the past 4 years that has worked for us? Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, with a mix of Gus Edwards. I think the key for us is we have to make Lamar a triple threat inside the red zone. A threat to hand it off, a threat to pull it and run, and a threat to throw it. Every play, he needs to be that triple threat, and we have to use it. So, like, I agree with everything you all have said. I agree with, what Corey is saying about the empty backfield, because I think all those things just go into the notion that your key thing here is everything has to run through Gus, Mark, and Lamar inside that red zone. I wouldn't mind seeing Mark just split out wide and we throw that fade from under center to him and not OBJ. But anyway, overall, like the conservative nature of our team, I would really love us to get away from it. I think, we're so focused on the win or maybe not losing, and that can bite us in the butt later. Because this schedule's not getting easier. We're going against a winning team in the Lions. We got the 49ers still on the schedule. We have the Chargers still on the schedule. Well, not the Chargers, but the Dolphins.
You got the Chargers.
I think Kyler Murray's going to be back for the Cardinals when we.
I don't want to hype the Chargers up.
Okay.
I'm just like, oh yeah, they're not that
Chargers suck. Chargers suck, man.
We still got some division games left. So my point is, like, we can't just go conservative and play not to lose. We have to play to smack teams in the mouth. That's the attitude we need to have. The attitude that our defense is bringing is what we need from our offense, and I think it needs to trickle down from the top. And when I say the top, I mean Harbaugh, Monken, Lamar. That's the top 3. That's the Trinity right there. And it needs to trickle down from there to the other players. They need to come in with the attitude like we're going to smack them in the mouth. That needs to show from our play calling. It needs to show from execution. I want Lamar to get up in people's faces like he was doing in preseason. He was getting in people's faces in training camp. I want to see it in the game because we haven't seen it yet this season. But he did it in training camp. So I think that's going to be the key. Like I'm not mad at us trying to win the game, but I am mad that we're playing not to lose. And I think that was evident in some of the lack of risk taking. I mean, I haven't seen us really push for the deep ball these past 2 games. I mean, I love some of the play calls. I love that screen to Nelson. I would love to see.
That was a touchdown. If that corner doesn't grab his feet, that's a touchdown. He was gone.
He barely.
Yeah. I mean, we had a couple screens like that where I felt
and
like
Nelson wanted that one because he was like, I got to get this one back for last week.
Yeah. But I want to see more of that, but I also want to see the balance in taking those shots. Like we need to establish threats. I said this last year when we were under Roman. Like, we have to establish threats, because the more you establish threats, the more you keep a defense off balance. So I want to see more of that. And I just want to see Rashad Bateman the heck out of there. But that's another thing. Back to you, Miles.
No, you brought up a good point, Travis. It feels like the I don't know, the not mantra, but I guess the attitude on defense is night and day compared to the offense, right? It feels like when the defense goes into their meeting room, like they're playing DMX in there, like they're amped up. When they're on their side of the field running their drills and stuff, they're in a whole different environment. Meanwhile, it seems like on Harbaugh's side, they're playing like Zen music. Everything's like white noise. Everything's like, let's be calm. We're gonna be collected. We're gonna be together. It's like on the other side, like we're ready to hit people's people. Look at Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton knocked 2 guys out this week. I mean,
Yeah.
and Kyle's not the biggest guy, like size wise, but clearly he knows how to hit dudes. Like he knows how to hit them in the field. So it's like, but you're right. The offense is like, it doesn't feel like that side of the ball wants to attack. Now, look, I think Lamar deep inside wants to. I think Lamar wants to do that. But I think Harbaugh has a little bit more control, I guess, on what the offense does, has a little bit more say in what goes on with the offense than the defense does. And I think it shows. I think they do get to a point. We saw, I think, in Lamar had completed, I don't know how many times we've seen this year already. Lamar he will complete like the first 8 passes, no incompletions.
He did 7 of 7 for 99 yards to 7 different targets.
Yeah, how many times have we seen that already this year, right? The first 7 to 10 scripted passes or whatever are completions, nonstop completions. Like he's not missing anyone. They even said so. Apparently, I was watching the all 22, and the guy was saying that if you look, the play when the play that Odell caught the slant across the middle, that was an audible by Lamar. Lamar saw something. He switched. He was doing something with his hand. He basically switched the play and told Odell just cut inside. He saw him right there. Bam. Then he got Odell
as well. The Aguilar play was audible.
Yeah. So what we're seeing now, the progression. Lamar week to week now is getting more comfortable running this offense, and I think, like you guys said, I think a few shows ago, is that the end goal, I think, by towards the end of the season, is that Lamar has full control of this offense, regardless of what Harbaugh says, right? So if Lamar is seeing something, it's similar to a safety coming up, or they're playing the 8 in the box or something, he sees a deep shot available, Lamar's just going to take it, regardless of what Monken and Harbaugh say. I'm taking this shot. I trust my guys. We're taking this shot. Because they said that in training camp, the lack of deep passes, even in training camp, that they rarely even practiced it seemed like. But in order to beat teams like the Dolphins and the Chiefs and stuff, you're going to need these huge chunk plays. You're going to need 40-yard, 50-yard gains. You can't just hope to throw a 5-yard slant and your guy takes it 50, 60 yards. Mm-hmm. There are going to be some occasions where, to keep them honest, because it's Lamar Jackson and you got Gus back there, and who knows, maybe Keaton Mitchell starts to ball out or something now that he's active. You got to keep them honest and not let them stack the box like that. Keep them honest. So I'm hoping as these weeks go on, Lamar will see something like, nah, we're going to check out of that. We're going to this, even though I think
though. I was going to say, the Monken has to get the receivers in order. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's starting to, the miscommunication to the receivers have been like steadily increasing week by week. I counted 4 passes that were clear miscommunications. One was to Zay Flowers. It was a short pass, but opening from one side to the other. Same thing with Bateman on the interception. Bateman was supposed to open up come back to the outside based on where the defender was positioned. He came back to the inside. That's why Lamar threw it straight to the sideline there. So that was an interception. Andrews, there was one where he was supposed to go deeper than what he did. And the last one was what was it? It was and Beckham, the one where he was on the sideline standing by himself.
Yeah.
Miscommunication, breaking from one side to the other, and he was alone. So, like, I don't know what's going on with the miscommunication with the receivers, but something has to tighten up there, because there's been a lot of yards just left on the field, just off of simple miscommunication plays. And as good as Lamar's has been, like, these are the little things going forward week to week is going to take us to the next level offensively. A lot of this stuff is happening on crucial downs as well. So that's one thing that we got to get cleared up. That's like the main thing that I noticed also when I was rewatching the game.
Yeah, and it's another part about this too is that offensive line is. I wouldn't say they're bad, but they're not good either. Like they're pretty mediocre right now. Like Stanley, I don't know if he's gonna. He may be done. Like to be honest with you, like he's not blocking the way he should, and they're not. The bad part about the way that run game looked on Sunday was they weren't getting to the second level at all. Like their guys, usually the Ravens run game are able to knock their guys down and able to get to the linebackers and the safeties and block them upfield. They were doing none of that. None of it. Like on those third and short plays, they were getting no push. Even on that direct snap to Mark Andrews. There's a direct snap to Mark Andrews that the Chiefs run all the time, and there was no push.
I don't want to see that play ever again.
They tried. I remember they did that a couple years ago. Didn't they do that a couple years ago?
It was last year, yeah.
Last year, and it didn't work then.
I thought he did it earlier this season. I could be wrong. I think he got one.
I think he did. I think he
I don't want to see that again this year. I will give Harbaugh props. We dog him all the time, and he deserves it. But he tucked that red flag back into his pocket.
He was like, I don't want to challenge the give. I want this play dead.
He finally tucked the red flag. He finally didn't throw it. He was thinking about it. He wanted to throw it so bad. He finally tucked it. We usually see him throw that. So shout out to him for not throwing that flag. He was clearly short. He wanted to throw it so bad.
Before we move on to the next topic real quick, what was I going to say here? Ravens offense, they pointed out, are 10th right now in the league in points per game in the first half. And in the second half of every game, they're 20th. Big drop off.
Not good.
Yeah,
top 10 in the league first half. 20th. You can't be like that. If you're going to get up against the top teams in the AFC, you're going to need to be at least equal. Top 10 in first half and second half scoring points, because you can't keep doing this. Like I said, we've seen it for weeks, and people have been calling the radio saying the same thing about this conservative mindset of this offense. And there are plays down the field to be made, but this conservative offense in the second half is leaving these are professional football players. 32 teams. If you allow them to get back in the football game, they will get back in the football game.
Yep.
And we've seen it too many times now under Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the Lions coming up this Sunday. I don't know. Look, everybody's been Stephen A. Smith got on top of his list now, number one team. Everybody's on the Lions bandwagon right now, and the funny thing is that we're both going to be our toughest contest this season. The Lions haven't really played anybody. The Ravens, outside of playing, I guess, the Browns and the Bengals and the Steelers, haven't really played too many tough teams. This will be our first for both Ravens and Lions.
Lions got that Chiefs win, right?
They got the Chiefs win week one.
That was it, though, yeah.
Man, I don't count that as week one.
Yeah.
And then Kelsey wasn't in the game.
Week one, yeah.
And Travis Kelsey.
Yeah, true that.
Let's touch on this one real quick. Caleb Williams wants a share of an NFL team. Now, obviously, this was a wild statement, especially considering he just threw 3 interceptions in that loss to was that Notre Dame that they lost to? Look, no player in NFL history has ever gotten that kind of deal. Tom Brady's never gotten it. Tyree Bradshaw, Troy Aikman. I'm talking about franchise quarterbacks that are like solidified with the team, like John Elway and the Broncos, right? No quarterback has ever gotten that. And he's saying, I want a share of an NFL team that I get drafted to. And in the way he made it, the statement was, well, I'm not coming if I don't get a share of it. Look, man, like I said, for people that don't remember, Maurice Clarett, it's not a similar thing, but he tried. He tried to get to the NFL early after his sophomore year, tried to declare for the NFL draft and said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And the NFL was like, nope, I don't care how good you are. The NFL is a machine at the end of the day. They're like, yeah, you're probably one of the best prospects we've seen since Andrew Luck. Best prospects we've seen since Troy Aikman or whatever. Joe Montana. But we can live without you. Like, if that's going to be the end-all, be-all, Yeah, we won't draft you then. We'll just leave you be. You can go play in the USFL or something. XF. Well, I guess the XFL now. You just go play in the XFL. They'll. I mean, how many times have we seen them make examples out of players just because to let them know we're the NFL? We don't need you. So I mean, look, the NIL money must have guys thinking differently right now at college football. But what do you guys think? You guys think this is a feasible thing for him to want, or is it just him throwing darts, right now, see what sticks?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think this is really early in your career to be. Your NFL career hasn't even started yet, and I think you're just putting a huge target on your back, and as if it's not enough pressure already of being a possible first round pick or whatever the case may be. That already comes with enough pressure. You're adding unnecessary pressure to you right now. Aaron Rodgers attempted to do this, and if he couldn't get it done, he's a proven vet, Super Bowl winning quarterback. If they're not giving a stake to Rodgers, what makes you think that they're going to give a rookie this type of stake when you haven't shown us anything? What if they give you a stake in a team and then you come to the team and you stink it up? We don't know what you're going to be in the NFL. I mean, what you're projected to be. That has nothing to do with what you're actually going to be. And I think he's just mounting just unnecessary pressure on himself. Maybe he is throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. Maybe in the future the landscape will be a little bit different. I just don't think that he's done enough. Obviously he's really, really good, but he hasn't done enough to demand this type of, this type of treatment at this point. I mean, unless it's something that I don't know that I'm missing, I don't see that there's any way in hell that any team is going to get a mistake. I mean, for all that, he might as well stay in college, and if you don't like the team that's going to have the first pick this year, stay another year and see what happens next year. But it's only been a couple of times that I can remember where these type of there's been some sort of demands like that. I think Eli Manning might have been one, but he wasn't asking for a stake. I think he
just wanted to trade. He didn't want to play in San Diego.
Things like that. I mean, if you want to come in the league and demand a trade, maybe that's one thing.
It's been done. John Elway did it.
Yeah,
Baltimore.
It happens. So I mean, maybe if it's something like that, that has precedence. We've seen it happen before. But the whole demanding a stake in a team is kind of like the nerve. Like we don't. The NFL does not know you yet. Like that's my thing. Who knows what will happen? I mean, maybe in a few years, like I said, the landscape will change, and then maybe it'll be more leverage for whatever reason. Obviously, these NIL deals in the fine print, the players are starting to learn what they're actually generating and what they're actually deserving. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. So I'm never a proponent of saying that somebody shouldn't get their money. I mean, I think we all should get our money, but this is a lot more than what the typical. Like I just don't see where it will ever make sense.
Yeah. I applaud him. Anybody trying to get ownership and money, I applaud you. But come on now. Come on.
NFL and the league. NBA you could do. Major League Baseball you probably could do.
NFL, come on, man. This is the epitome of the good old boys club. This is corporate America. They don't want you to have a piece of their pie. I don't see it happening. I hope the NFL progresses to a place where a vested veteran could have that in their contract. I would love that to be a part of the CBA, but a rookie, come on. Zach Wilson was a top 3 quarterback, right? Top 3 pick? Yeah. I mean, he's playing better now, but
he's not top.
Johnny Manziel was a number 1 pick. Baker Mayfield, number 1 pick. I mean, Jamarcus Russell, number 1 pick. Do you think somebody's going to invest ownership in a draft pick that's unproven? It's too hit or miss. Too many factors. But I would like more players to start demanding it, because I think where it could happen is, a vested veteran has shown improve. And like after that first contract, if you've met this criteria, you can have the option to have ownership or shares in the organization, whatever that looks like. So I can see that. And I hope we get to a place where that is available, because in corporate America, that's available. I mean,
Right.
stock options are essentially ownership.
Mhm.
But no, not for Caleb Williams. I think, it's great. It's great for the brand. It's great to raise his exposure, the aura, and who he is. But I mean, you keep playing these dangerous games, that leak is going to come out. Caleb Williams is a bad teammate. Caleb Williams has an OnlyFans or something. I don't know. Like
Sarge Parlor.
his
Yeah,
burner
you better be
phone.
careful. Don't take no gifts from nobody, man. Don't take. Yeah, we got a party we want you to go to, Caleb. Is
Yeah.
NFL some dude in a trench coat taking pictures? Like, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
Like,
he's in an entanglement with Jada Pinkett.
Right.
Something.
Yeah, mention her next memoir. Like, we don't
Right.
need that. We don't need that.
Yeah, man. Great.
Yeah, it's no, you're right. I would hope that one day, especially guys like like Ray Lewis now with the Ravens, you would think he would definitely have like rights. Like if anybody's expected to have like rights on like a team, Terrell Davis, Shannon Sharp with the Broncos, and Emmitt Smith and the Cow, like the Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, like Cowboy stock, something like that. Like, but that's going to take, I think, more some of these good old boys passing away or selling their teams to more, I guess, forward-thinking ownership. But as of right now, other Week 6 news, we saw obviously today we saw Anthony Richardson, since you mentioned it, Travis, that he got shoulder surgery that's going to end his season now. He played. Well, he missed 4 games. He played 4 games this year. He looked good for the 4 games he did play. It's a little concerning that his shoulder didn't hold up for a whole season. That's a little concerning if you're the Colts going forward. I mean, I'm not sure the severity of it, but obviously it was like they said he had to weigh his options and he decided to get surgery. I guess it was that bad that he had to get surgery on. So it kind of sucks for the Colts. I feel bad for them, but then I don't. They brought this on themselves. I feel like this is just kind of payback for the Jonathan Taylor stuff. Yeah, this is all karma. Come back on them.
Yeah.
If y'all, did right by him, this wouldn't have been an issue.
Right.
So,
I wonder if they even would have paid Jonathan Taylor if Anthony Richardson got hurt before this.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
They need him now.
Yeah.
They need him now.
They need a quarterback now.
So, yeah. What was the other big one? So we see the 49ers lose to the Browns 19-17. But that's mainly because, Christian McCaffrey gets hurt, and so does Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey has an oblique injury that he's in and out of the game for. Deebo has to leave the game. I don't know if you guys saw like the memes and stuff. They put up Brock Purdy. They're like, once you take away his weapons, he's basically Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
A better team. I mean, I've always said, I think, look, Brock, here's the thing. They made before that game, a lot of people were saying, is he elite? Is he elite? Is he elite quarterback? He's played 16 games. He's played a full season at this point, 1 year. And I'm not a Ben Roethlisberger fan, but I did like the quote he said a few years ago. He's like, we got to stop talking about these guys in year 1 and year 2. Like they're the guys already. Like let's wait to see where they're like in year 5. When they hit year 5, let's see where they're at. He's like, there's a lot of guys that had one good year. There's a lot of quarterbacks that had one good year and then stinking up the rest and are not in the league anymore. So he's like, we got to stop crowning guys. And look, I'm not going to say he had a horrible game, but it showed if I've always looked at Brock Purdy as another version of Alex Smith, a better Jimmy Garoppolo. He doesn't turn the ball over like Jimmy does usually. He can find Deebo. He can find Brandon Ayuk, Kittle. Like, he knows where to throw the football. He's pretty efficient with it. But it shows that if he doesn't have those guys around, like he's going to struggle a bit. If he's got to make those throws to guys he's not really comfortable with and that can make, elite catches or make, elite runs and stuff like that to get down the field, and he's got to throw down the field to get there, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. So, look, he's only played 16 games. He has every opportunity to get better. We saw Tom Brady was a 6th-round draft pick, and look where he is in history. So it's possible. Yeah. I'm not going to say he's a bum or anything, but hopefully a piece of student in the game, this opens his eyes up a little bit. And like, I gotta get a little bit better. You know,
Yeah.
I can't. If those guys are out for a prolonged time, and he's gonna be up for a contract in a year or two, I gotta show that I'm worth that money.
Yeah, I wish I would have known that Christian McCaffrey and Debo would have got hurt before I went to London. I put in 3 parlays.
Mm.
I hit on everything,
Of
and
course,
I
they get
lost.
hurt.
I lost in this game. So that I expected to come back to a few coins and came back to nothing. So
Mm.
I had him in my fantasy
Rough.
team. Both Debo and Chris McCaffrey both got hurt. I was like,
yeah,
lost
Yeah.
that.
that goes to tell you. I mean, he was without 2 of his best weapons
Yeah.
for most of that game. So I didn't expect too much after that. I mean, he still has Greg Kittle, he still has Brandon Ayuk, but Greg Kittle, outside of I think the last week or the week before, he had 3 touchdowns. But outside of that, he's been Greg Kittle. George Kittle has been quiet, so
Yeah.
he hasn't really been doing too much. So it's not too many quarterbacks that probably would have done much without having Christian McCaffrey on the field, because their whole offense it runs through him. So like now with him being out and not being consistently on the field, like what do you do as offense? So I think it was going to be a struggle for him to pivot anyway. But yeah, like you said, he definitely is a very, very good game manager in the situation. Typically, when he got those guys on the field, and without him, we had to ask him to do more than what he typically needs to do.
Mhm.
So this is what it is.
All right, so
No, go ahead.
oh no, what I was gonna say is, the one thing that I'm kind of looking at from those games
Mhm.
is that the Bengals and the Browns are arriving. I'm not gonna say the other word, but they are arriving. Like Bengals have won 2 in a row. The Browns have some big wins, so we got to watch out. We definitely got to watch out and win the games that we should win. So we got to keep an eye on these teams because if the Bengals get going, I mean, they could be a dangerous team.
Yeah, as long as if Burrow, he's played well the last 2 weeks now. And Jamar Chase, got the 7-11 chain on now. Like he's always open.
He's feeling himself.
He's always open. Now the Eagles also lose to the Jets. I wish, based on the spread, like I should have looked at the spreads for these games because some of the spreads are like 14 points. So crazy. I'm like, these are games like this. Sounds like I need to bet on this game.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody bet the 49ers will lose and the Eagles will lose and won some stupid money. I'm pretty sure.
Oh man.
I wasn't as surprised by I wasn't as surprised that the Eagles lost because they have been playing that kind of. They've been teetering a little bit all season. They haven't played their best football, and then Jalen Hurts throws 3 picks in that game. Aaron, I don't know what it is, man. When Aaron Rodgers is in the building, Zach Wilson plays like a different quarterback. Like he just plays that. Now Aaron Rodgers is on the sideline with the headset on. Zach Wilson just plays different. I don't know what it is. But they said they've been struggling. And then look, I'll tell you when it really changed. When Lane Johnson went out, that was it. When Lane Johnson went out, that line couldn't block anymore. And that's what happened last year, right before the Super Bowl. I think Lane Johnson got hurt. And he was kind of in and out towards the end of the season. But he's a big reason why that line, him and Jason Kelce, are the big reason why that line can protect Jalen Hurts and get him throw the ball downfield. Once they stopped doing that, that Jets defense was getting after Jalen Hurts. Like he was running for his life, throwing the football down here, throwing it across his body and stuff. Like
they're elite.
Yeah, that Jets defense is really good. The offense has got some work. Breece Hall is really good. He's really good. He's starting to play a little bit better too. But the Eagles have been what's the word I'm looking for? They've been tap dancing around that L for a couple weeks now. They've been getting by. They were getting whooped by the Commanders that one week. They come back and win the football game. Like they've been tap dancing around it for a couple weeks. So I'm like, it was gonna happen at some point. But as of right now, they're saying like they're not as dominant as they were last year, right? Last year they were beating guys by 20 points, 14 points. Now they're just kind of eking out wins right now. They're still a good football team. Don't get me wrong. The NFC is pretty weak right now. But as of right now, I think if they're healthy, it's the 49ers conference to lose. If they're healthy, if C-Mac and Debo and all them healthy, and they play the Eagles at right now, I don't think it's even close right now. I love that Eagles defense. The Eagles defense is really good, but their secondary doesn't appear to be as good as it was last year. They're not as shut down as they were like last season.
Yeah.
So they got some wrinkle. They got some stuff they need to deal with too. But I think they're it's one of those things you rather notice that stuff now because as they say, when you're undefeated, you don't really notice all the warts and the moles and stuff while you're winning. You don't notice it. Once you lose, then you're like, all right, now we got to analyze everything. Why have you been losing? Well, we've been doing this same thing every week. It just finally caught up to us. Yeah. So, it did fix some things. I want to see, honestly, DeAndre Swift get the ball a little bit more, to be honest with you. He's been money for them. I think they got to give him the ball a lot more and not so much rely on the tush push.
That's a nasty term.
Brotherly shove, as they want to call it. Brotherly
shove, man. This is insane, bro.
Yeah, they can't keep surviving off that. Like they can't keep winning football games that way. So they got to find other ways to do
it. Yeah. I missed this game. Being overseas, the timing just didn't measure up for me. So I didn't see any of this. But like you said, they've been kind of teetering around that L for a while. Like you said, they've been tap dancing around it, and they're having a lot of consistency issues as well. So yeah, until they get that cleaned up, I think did Jalen Carter play that game?
He was out. Jalen Carter was out. So Jalen Carter was out, and then somebody else went out. Another defensive tackle went out.
So you got a couple of D tackles that were out, and you also had, like you said, Lane Johnson, which is the biggest piece that probably explained a lot of why Hurts has been struggling. And he's been also, even before that, like in other games, he's been doing a lot of like overthrowing guys too. So like it's a couple of things going on. I think they'll be fine, but I do agree with you. If we're talking about a fully healthy team, I think the 49ers is definitely still leading that NFC, that conference in terms of who's the strongest NFC team. I still think that the Niners right now have the edge over them in that, especially in the consistency department. They've been way more consistent.
Yeah, I mean, Eagles, they knew a loss was coming because they've been saying week over week, like, we haven't been playing great football. Mm-hmm. Like, their record was not indicative of how they've been playing. And to be honest, the Jets have been improving every week. I mean, when you look at that Chiefs game, that was kind of a springboard. Like, okay, we may have something here. We may can salvage this season. And they were able to go out. They pretty much dominated the Broncos. And then coming into this game, they were kind of just hyped up. That defense came to play. Zach Wilson did what Zach Wilson had to do. And Philly just didn't show up. I get the injuries, but I mean, I'm starting to feel like there is a Super Bowl hangover. The record doesn't say it, so I can't look at the record and be like, oh, they got a Super Bowl hangover. But when you watch through the eyeball test, they just have not been playing well. They've been kind of just like playing, just doing enough just to get by. And when the team comes in ready to play and you're playing that way, they're going to smack you in the mouth. And that's what happened here. I mean, Jalen Hurts, 3 picks. I mean, we talked all week. When are we going to talk about him being worth his money? Because he has
clearly they had a segment ready for Lamar, right?
Yeah,
segment was ready for Lamar, not worth the money. Jalen has a bad game. No, it's fine. Jalen, it's a bad game.
When's the last time Lamar had a 3-pick game?
Right.
But Jalen had a rough game. So there's that passion of last year is missing from this Eagles team. Obviously, they have coordinators missing from last year. But they have a lot of soul searching to do. I know it's one loss and you shouldn't hit the panic button, but this has been building over weeks. And, this is one of those situations where if you don't start the course correct because you have been sleepwalking, you can see more losses starting to add up. And then you're catching yourself looking in the mirror like, what is this team? So, we'll see what happens with them.
Yeah. And I got my dates wrong with the Germany game. The Eagles actually play the Dolphins Sunday night football. Eagles.
Love that.
That's going to be good. Now like you said, we're talking about the injuries mounting up. Reed Blankenship, I think one of their safeties has out with a rib injury. He did not practice. Lane Johnson with his ankle did not practice. Bradley Roby shoulder did not practice. Devontae Smith with a hamstring did not practice. Jalen Carter with the ankle limited. They're hampered right now going against one of the hottest offenses in the NFL. They could be another L this week. This coming this week, they could get 2 straight. So it looked like they were going to lock up the NFC East, and then here come those damn Cowboy fans. Damn Cowboys! Like they just can't. It's like roaches, man. It won't go away. It won't go away. But yeah, that should either way still be a good game. And you saw they brought in Julio Jones. Was it yesterday or this morning? They strictly brought him in to help Devontae Smith catch football. That's all. He's been struggling this year, cat, because he looked like Nelson Aguilar out there. he would drop like at least 3 of them during that game.
That's surprising though, because his scouting report was that he had hands. Yeah,
he's so good last year. I don't know. Yeah, like you said, it's the Super Bowl hangover, right? They're in their own heads. It really feels like they're in their own heads. All right, before we get here, let's talk about this Lions Ravens game. So right now the line for this game is -3, so practically an even game. I saw the weather is going to be around 66 degrees. It will be windy, extremely windy apparently, with like 20 to 30 mile per hour gusts. So not really good for kicking the football. So that kind of eliminates your best weapon in Justin Tucker, unless you can find breaks in the wind during the game or something, or if it's one of those north to south winds or something. I think the Ravens Stadium is set up east to west. I think it's east to west. So hopefully the wind is blowing either east to west, and they kind of figure out if they want to kick whichever side. I'm actually going to be at that game. I'm going to that game. But like I said, again, Lions are coming in 5-1, Ravens 4-2. David Montgomery, I think, is out. He's hurt right now. So Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be their starting running back right now. Jameson Williams is officially back. He had, I think, a touchdown this past week. So he's kind of back in the fold, one of their speed guys. Now, question is for the Ravens, they're playing at home. We've said before that it feels like these home games for the Ravens don't feel like they're home. They don't have that home field advantage that they used to, right? The Lions are typically a dome team. They play on turf. They usually play on grass. It is raining the day before, I think, on Saturday a little bit. So I don't think it's going to be too muddy or anything for Sunday. But the Lions are actually one of the better teams in the NFL when it comes to stopping the run. They're actually one of the best teams in the NFL stopping the run. I think even better than the Titans. So that's going to be a very big issue in the run game, which I would think if now the Keaton Mitchell is activated, this would be the perfect opportunity to bring in Keaton Mitchell to open up that zone running game. If their main thing is stopping the run, and if they can open up lanes, and look, this is how I would like to use Keaton Mitchell in this game, right? I'm pretty sure they're going to test the waters to see how interior lines blocking the run game stuff. They're going to run the football with Gus and Justice Hill. If that's not working, I would like to see Keaton Mitchell kind of use like what the Chargers use Austin Eckler. We saw it in the preseason with some of these little swing passes and little pitch plays and stuff to get the running backs out in space, outside to get them running downfield. And with the speed that Keaton Mitchell has, because he has pure running back speed. Like I said, he looks like he can do the shift. He can shift left and right, still keep the same burst and everything without losing any speed. I would love to see them use him in that manner in this game. This is going to be a game, I think, where the Ravens are going to have to score like early. The Lions aren't necessarily the best team, and they're not as good as the Titans are. I looked at the rankings. In red zone defense, the Titans are one of the best teams in the NFL. Lions are around, like they said, like 16, 18. They're like kind of middle of the pack there. So there will be opportunities for the Ravens to score touchdowns in this game. But this is a game where if you like we were saying, opening it up a little bit, letting these guys get a little more creative on offense. If you're going to get guys involved between the 20s, between the end zones, and you say you're throwing to 7 different receivers, that's great and everything, but you also got to do that in the red zone too. You got to, you don't know who they're going to. I mean, how many times have we not seen them spread the ball out? Like, we don't see 4 wide receivers line up on the line and we see Andrews. You got to have your best pass catchers. Have Odell, have Andrews, have Zay Flowers. Line up, keep Mitchell or something like on like that. Like you don't know who's going to run a drag. Someone's going to do a fade route. They're running different things in the red zone. They got to try some different things because what Tomlin has said and many other of these coaches have said about the Ravens that their offense is too vanilla. And I'm afraid that after now 6 weeks of football, a lot of these teams now have the game. They know what they're going to run now. Like they're not switching it up. They're just going to keep doing what they're doing. And like we said before, they're not running the plays that were effective in the first 3 weeks. We haven't seen them. Like they haven't attempted them. So I don't know. I'm hoping what you guys said is right. That it appears that Harbaugh is getting away from the analytics. I'm hoping it looks like that's the case. But I would also hope that he realizes, hey, Lamar's our best player. We're in the 5 yard, inside the 5 yard line. If we have multiple opportunities here, number 8's got to touch the ball at least once. At least he's got to have the ball in his hands at least one time. I mean, come on. So I think the key for this game is that the defense keeps doing what they're doing. They're getting pressure. They're leading the league in sacks. Or number 2 in sacks right now. Madubuike is getting interior pressure now for 2 straight weeks, so that's key. Jared Goff is not a mobile quarterback at all, so I feel like if he gets pressure, then he's going to either throw it up high or he's going to throw it out of bounds or he's going to get sacked. So you don't really have to worry about him running around. I am a little bit worried about Jahmyr Gibbs, though, just because there's not enough tape on him right now. He had one good game this year. I think that one game that David Montgomery was out, and he had 80 yards on the ground. He is from Alabama. He was a really high pick coming out of Alabama, the running back. And I'm a little bit worried about what maybe he could do against that defense. But that's, I think, more of a situation where if this game's too close towards the end and that defense gets worn down because they're on the field too much, that Jahmyr Gibbs could cause them problems towards the middle of the game. So what we saw earlier, the Ravens are 10th in the first half, 20th in the second half. It's very apparent that, look, you're not going to fix this in one game. So in that first half, when you guys have opportunities, score touchdowns. I don't think field goal's going to cut it in this game. Yeah. Field goals ain't going to cut it in this game. You need touchdowns in this game. The one thing that did get on my nerves in that London game was I think it was around the 2-minute warning. And I think the first half and the 2-minute warning, the Ravens had the ball. And it felt like they were playing for the field goal. They weren't playing for the touchdown. They were clearly playing for the field goal. They didn't call a timeout until there were like 29 seconds left on the clock. I'm like, I'm sitting here watching the replay like, where's timeout? There's a minute 42 left. Like, you give you time to draw up a play, get downfield, try to score a touchdown. Again, the mindset in this game has to change. Dan Campbell is going to be aggressive. He's a former football player. He's going to be aggressive in this game. He's on this the away team. When they have a chance at the red zone, guess what? They're going to be trying for touchdowns. The Ravens have to have that same kind of mindset where we got to punch them in the mouth first. This is going to be one of those, boxing matches where, we can't let them get past the 5th round, 6th round. If we don't knock them out in the first few rounds, they're going to find their wind or whatever. And they're going to put haymakers on us and start knocking us out. Yeah. So they're going to the Ravens are going to have to, if you're not scoring points in the second half, they're going to have to, I'm not saying get by 30 in the first half, but you got to at least have I'm talking 14 to 18 points in the first half. They've been averaging about 3 to 4 points in the second half of these last few games, which is not great. They haven't put up 30 points yet at all this season. The defense, like I said, the defense does what it does. I think Jameson, they have a good receiving core. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is playing. Let me get the injury report real quick. This is 2 hours ago. Practice report. So Dave Montgomery, of course, he's not participating right now. Jahmyr Gibbs is limited. So yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown is playing. So they have a good receiving core there. So, but again, I think they said it would be better maybe to move Marlon Humphrey at this point, maybe move him to the slot and let him guard the outside right now. Just kind of let Rock, Ronald, and Brandon Stevens kind of control the outside. They've been playing the most games most consistently. Let them handle it. and let Marlon kind of work the slot position until he gets his legs under him a little bit more. But yeah, we already know Queen and Roquan going to bring it. We already know they're going to bring it in this game. The question has been the last few weeks: is this offense going to match that energy for the defense? So.
Yeah, solid points. I agree with almost all of that you hit on. I think the number one thing, and Travis hit this, hit the nail on the head in the last segment with just playing 4 complete quarters. We have yet to do that, and we've just been lacking consistency. I feel like every game, if we do something well, there's like 3 things that we do that we don't do well. And for this game, we're gonna have to play a complete game. Monk is gonna have to, like I said, get this offense in sync somehow, because it seems like even the drives where we're driving down the field and we're cooking and we're just stalling out in the red zone, like we did last week. But coming into that game last week, we had a really, really good red zone offense. Outside of the loss in Pittsburgh and our red zone offense this week. So, like, for me, they have to be more consistent in that. Like you said, opening up some more of those plays for Lamar to just do his thing in the red zone because they were working. As far as our rushing attack, hopefully Keaton Mitchell does get some opportunities back there. I was actually hoping to see him get an opportunity this past week, but it didn't happen. He kind of just left him on special teams. But I would like to see them try to do something else creatively on offense, just to see if we can kind of open up some other things. That'll just be another target for them to watch, especially with his speed that he can bring. Like you said, I'm not mad if they do line him up in the slot, have him just run some quick slants or whatever the case may be, just to get eyes on him. Running across the middle of the field. Hopefully, our running game can somehow put a dent into the defense. This game, I'm actually surprised that we're favorites at all. Honestly, I think we're like a 3-point favorite somehow right now. I'm actually shocked at that, because this is just Detroit right now is just more of a complete team right now as far as where they're at. I think they've won like 4 games in a row. So we're going to have to put up points. We cannot play them like we played the Tennessee Titans. Vrabel played that game super conservatively. We're not going to get that from Detroit at all. So it's really not – we really can't afford to leave certain opportunities on the field. We're going to have to go for it on 4th and 1. We're going to have to do those things. It's not one of these games where we can just kind of nickel and dime and field goal them to death. It's not going to happen, because they're going to be able to score points. So, yeah, I just think we just need a complete game. I'm not really concerned too much about the defense, but then again, I am. It's going to be a different type of offense. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown that you mentioned. He's one of the receivers, those type of receivers that I'm worried about. He reminds me a lot like Ja'Marr Chase, honestly. I mean, those 2 guys aren't really that much different in terms of, what they can do out there. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's also like very streaky. He's very sneaky. Like he gets open kind of in a smooth manner, kind of like Amari Cooper almost, but he has great hands. So I don't know what we're going to do with him, but whatever we do, I don't want to see too many one-on-one matchups with Amon-Ra St. Brown with anybody. I think we need to make sure we provide help wherever he's at on the field. Kyle Hamilton, I just want him to be able to have his free range to do what he does. Hopefully Geno can keep the momentum going and add a couple of turnovers as well. And our pressure. Clowney and Madubuike, they played phenomenal last week. Hopefully they can have some similar success. I think Clowney even had the amount of QB pressures he's been getting all season is like astounding. And the fact that now he's starting to actually get sacks as well, where he wasn't even known for sacks, before coming to us.
I think they said he's had nine this year already. He had 5 all of last season.
That's what I'm saying.
He already had 9 this year.
And the career numbers, I don't think he's ever had more than 9 like, in a season. Granted, he's been injured and hampered in some ways in those other seasons as well. But the fact that he's getting the amount of pressure that he is, I think that's key to kind of keep Jared Goff off his game. I mean, he's having a pretty good season, but Jared Goff can be forced into some mistakes. If our defense can get the necessary pressure on him and kind of keep doing what they're doing, I think we'll be fine. But like you said, Miles, it's really on the offense to not have these guys on the field all game. We gotta convert, and we gotta get these first downs. We gotta convert on third downs, and we gotta make plays in the red zone. It just is what it is. Like we're too good of an offense on the if you look at the roster, like we're too good not to have those type of opportunities. Andrews is the same Andrews that we've had for the past few seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've added to that. Zay Flowers, the one touchdown we had in London where Lamar had to scramble and Zay Flowers read his eyes and he come back to the middle of the field. That should be a gimme almost whenever you need it. So we just got to see that. We're going to need to see a lot of our offensive players' best games in this season. Hopefully, it's not as windy to the point where it's disrupted the pass game. Because we've seen how that's affected some of Lamar's throws with that Steelers game when blew away. But yeah, our offense they got to come through and help out our defense because the defense is been playing too good, and we're asking way more than what we need to ask from them. But they've been holding it down, and that's pretty much to me all they got to do. I mean, it's a lot to ask for, but all we're really asking for is for them to play a complete game, and that includes special teams because honestly, even ever since that block, we haven't looked that much better in protecting for punt. Like a couple of punts after that I'm like, okay, that was close. Okay, that was close too. Like something's going on.
Something's wrong. Yeah, somebody missing their assignment, man.
And that's game records as well. So hopefully, they can figure that out. And yeah, hopefully we don't have to see Tucker as much this week, and hopefully we're just getting in the end zone. Like give Lamar the keys and let him drive, and I think we'll be all right.
Yeah. My thoughts on this game have changed since Miles gave us the weather report. Because Detroit is susceptible to the pass. And my thought was like attack downfield, let Zay abuse them deep. Now it's a little different. I still think we could beat them in a passing game, but I think the important thing is going to be the intermediate, the short routes. Mixing that up, getting guys in space. That's going to have to be it for this game. I don't know if their dominance against the run or even defensively has to do with who they played. Because I'm looking at Detroit, I'm like, who have they played or beat besides the Chiefs? Mm-hmm. The Chiefs. I mean, they're playing the Panthers, who are an abomination of an offense. Atlanta, whose quarterback is absolutely terrible.
Oh, man.
So, I mean, it's kind of tough to really pinpoint like how good this Lions team is. They're good, but I don't know how good. So I think we can attack them in the pass game. I think we just have to execute. I think for 2 quarters every game, we have the right idea, and we go away from that. So I want us to be consistent. I want us to get the ball in our playmakers' hands. Yes, please bring Keaton Mitchell out, throw that running back wheel that is always seems to be open for us.
It's always there.
You know what I mean? And I want to see more of Zay getting those handoffs. I want to see plays off of that. I want to see Andrews involved more. I want to see a likely appearance.
Yeah. They got to get another tight end involved, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Like Corey said, they got to get another tight end involved.
And I want to see Bateman on the bench. I mean, I want to see our receiving core of Odell, Zay, Algorithm, and mix in Andrews and Likely into that. So I think that's possible. I think that short to intermediate game is there for us. Attacking the middle of the field seems to always be there for us. I don't know what it is, but teams leave the middle of the field open for Lamar all day. So I want to see that. Defensively, Jahmyr Gibbs scares me more than David Montgomery. Jahmyr Gibbs has that game-breaking ability where he can just break one on you. And that's scary. I know there's not a lot of film on him. He probably is not going to gash us in between the tackles or just gash us all game. But I think there are 2 to 3 plays where he could he can break it wide open and make a huge impact. So that's scary. And I do fear him more than David Montgomery. I think the receiving core is also pretty scary. I think we'll have to play a great game defensively. I think Kyle Hamilton is going to have to set the tone if any of those guys come across the middle. I think Roquan and Patrick Queen are going to have to play a great game. This is a big test. This is a big test. Like I said, I don't know how good Detroit is, but they're good. You don't go 5-1 and not be good.
Right.
They beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, so that's the sign of a really good team. But I think if we execute on offense consistently for 4 quarters, attack them in the passing game, get our playmakers the ball, they catch the ball, protect Lamar as much as possible, I think we can come out with a victory. But I think those things are going to have to be key. And to touch on the special teams part, yeah, special teams is scary. I've never been a Ravens fan who was scared of the special teams play, except in the Billy Cundiff year. We just had an extra point block last week, and the week before was the punt. That's 2 weeks where protection completely failed us, and somebody has to answer to that. Like,
in a close game, that's a record, man. You can't do that.
It's not something that is Ravens football, so that needs to be addressed this week. If we see that happen again, heads are going to roll. I know some people be like, "Oh, it's special teams." No. This is an organization that understands the importance of that. So, it needs to be addressed. But, those are the keys to the game. I think, if we play our game, we should win.
Yeah, it's this I think, Travis, you mentioned, I think in our May show when we were talking about the schedule. This is the time where they need to be going on that run, right? So you got the Lions this week, the Cardinals the week after that, the Seahawks, and then the Browns. Like this is a good schedule for them to go on a run here. The last few weeks outside of week 1 and week 2, the Ravens have gone win loss. You got to start stacking wins here. You got to start getting a little bit more confident in how you guys are playing and stringing things along. And this is a test to do it in. This is a team. I think the Lions are going to be in the playoff mix in the NFC. I'm not necessarily mean you're going to be in the playoff in the Super Bowl, but if you want to, how are you going to play against playoff caliber teams? This is it. This is the team you're going to be playing. I mean, the types of team you're going to be playing. Now, look, as far as receiving cores, they've played not necessarily say the Steelers, but the Bengals receiving core was pretty good. Still got Jamar Chase out there and T. Higgins and them. So they've shut down some pretty decent cores, I think, this season already. This will definitely be the most. I think the Lions are one of those teams where they don't have a lot of elite players, but they play really good team football on both sides. Like on offense and defense, they just play good football. Aiden Hutchinson is starting to come into his own. Now he's no TJ Watt, but I'm a little worried about him against Morgan Moses or even Ronnie Stanley at this point. Hopefully that he doesn't wreck the game for them. I'm not sure the remedy is going to be. I think it is what it is at this point for off the line. I don't think they're going to make a trade or anything at the deadline or anything like that, but that is what it is. Corey did mention they showed on the Tyus Bowser show that he mentioned that he's out there practice and he feels good and everything, and we haven't seen him. I mean, he hasn't been designated to be active at all, but do you guys think that he comes back at all this season? I mean, he came in with that knee injury. They haven't specified what it is, and it doesn't seem to be healing on its own. Like it's been weeks, not counting all of training camp. With 6 weeks, it hasn't done anything. Hasn't gotten better. Usually, we would hear like, yeah, he's on the practice field. He's running. He's doing some drills and stuff. He's not doing team practice. He's not doing any of that yet. He's not doing any of that. This could be the end for him. I love Tyus Bowser. He's one of my favorite players on the Ravens, but
yeah, I honestly don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still very much involved in all of the team activities. When they practice, he's usually on the adjacent field, working out or whatever the case may be. I don't know what's going on. to the point where they're even like mum on the reporting of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the reporters, they're barely even asking about it anymore. So it's all speculation at this point. I don't. If it was more of a career thing, I feel like that would just be something definitive. They would have came out and said like, you know, it's a wrap for him. I don't know if it's just like you're just holding off until playoffs or something like that. But if that was the case, I feel like they would have just said it. So I honestly have no idea what's going on. The fact that we don't even know how we got hurt is
We still don't know, right? Still don't know.
that
How
alone
Yeah.
is the craziest part of the situation to me. So yeah, I don't know. I got nothing.
Yeah, there's two great mysteries in this world. It's like, how did COVID start, and what happened to Tyus Bowser's knee? Like, those are the two
we
great
know a little bit
mysteries.
more about COVID than we do know about
Right. We
Yeah, you're
got
probably
we got
right.
little snippets here and there, during how it came about. We don't even
Yeah.
have conspiracies. We don't have
Yeah,
conspiracies
we
about
can't get a
Tyus Bowser.
conspiracy going.
We got nothing.
Like, it's like they're just trying to void his contract at this point. Because
Corey
this
was like,
happened
"You
last
smell
year, right?
Corey
Yeah.
said, "I smell injury settlement coming."
Yeah, because wasn't he out for like half the year last year
Yeah.
and then came back?
And they came back towards the end. He played like the last 4 games or something like
And
that.
it's happening all again. Yeah, I don't have anything on that front. We probably seen this is probably his last season. I don't know when he's coming back. I don't know anything. This is just smells fishy.
Yeah.
Steve Saunders is somewhere in that building still.
He's got his hands all over, right?
Yeah.
I was just thinking to myself, I wonder if they do that survey again this year, what grade they give a strength and conditioning team. If they're getting a D, anything below a C. At this, I gotta see some improvement, right? If they're getting anything, they're getting a D or an F. Nah, man. You didn't fix the problem.
Yeah.
All right. So before we got here, scores. What you guys got?
This is tough. It's a tough game to gauge. The Lions have been putting up, they've been putting up some points. I mean, they've been scoring average like maybe 20 something, but they have a couple of games where I think they beat the Panthers about they put up 42 points on them, and they put up like 31 in a loss to what was the game we lost? Seattle, I think.
Yeah.
And they put up another. So they've been putting up points. So it's kind of hard to gauge. And I mean, I know it's against sorry teams, but it's like when we play sorry teams,
we can barely score.
Can't even blow
20 points.
Can't blow them out. But
yeah,
for some reason, as much as I think we're going to lose this game, I still feel like there's a chance. I do feel like there's a chance that we're going to win this game. I think we play well enough to win. I think we're going to put up 30 points for the first time, but I think it's going to be a really, really close game. I'm going 30-27 in this game, and that's a lot of points that I wanted to give to either side, to be honest, in this one. But for some reason, I just can't see, like every week, I just can't see Lamar going out there and just allowing that to happen again.
Yeah.
And it's not all up to him, but
yeah,
at some point, they're going to have to. This offense is going to have to play for Lamar. This offense is going to have to play for that defense. And I think it'll be a game like this week where they might be able to put that together. So I'm hoping that's what's going to happen. 30-27, Baltimore.
All right. I'm not doing a 30-piece the rest of this year because every time I do it, I get let down. Yeah. But I do think we put up a decent amount of points. I think we give up some too because – I mean, they have a great receiving core, and Jared Goff is playing like, that last year on the Rams doesn't exist. So I think they can put up some points on us. I think they break a couple. I actually think they're going to hit us with a trick play because that seems to be what every team does against us. I have Tucker getting a field goal late in the game to seal the win, 26-24.
Do you guys remember the last game the Ravens scored 30 points?
Let's say last October or something like that.
September 25th, 2022. Is that the third game of the season?
Close.
That's the last time they scored 30 points.
That's why I keep predicting 30, man.
It's got to happen at some point, right? Like, come on, you haven't scored in a whole year. In a whole year, you haven't scored 30 points.
I try to give them grace at home, where okay, it's a home game. You know, I feel like we should put up points at home all the time, and we just haven't done it. I think the most we scored this year is what, 28, 27, 28? Something like that. So
20, I think, is the most we scored.
20?
28.
28.
Oh,
28.
oh, okay.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think 28 is the most we've scored.
Oh, okay. Which is crazy to me still.
Yeah.
Not having a 30-piece set is with this new offense, new coordinator, new players, new receivers. I don't know. I think I do think if we had JK for sure, we'd be putting up a lot more numbers.
Yeah.
Again, I think this game, Monken had an idea what this offense would have looked like with his own running scheme, and now that his best running back is not on the roster, I'm hoping Keith Mitchell provides some spark to that outside running game. I would like to see it. Now I'll say, because I'm going to the game, right? I'm going to the game.
Mm-hmm.
I said last week that I thought the Ravens were going to lose this game either way. I think I said it in the schedule, so I'm going to keep the same.
I might have said it too.
I think what's been ailing the Ravens continues to ail them, especially on offense, and there's going to be plays left on the field. I don't think they're going to have the drops like they've been having, like they had in the Steelers game. It didn't appear to have that in the Titans game. But I think there will be opportunities in the red zone. Again, they're 2 for 9 now in the last 9 attempts, and the way these hardball teams are, and especially on offense, no matter who the coordinator is, they just seem to. They had the same issues last year, right? They had the same problems last year. They couldn't score in the red zone, and you got a better, on paper, better talent that should be able to score within the 20-yard line. They still are finding issues where they can't. So, it's going to be a tight game. I'm going to say the Lions 24, Ravens 20. Ravens 20. Lions 24. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. I'm mad at that.
We'll see.
Oh,
Prove
yeah.
us all wrong.
Before we get out of here, Corey just posted it. I was watching Engraven videos. Apparently, did you see that there was a post-game fight between Odell and Jeffrey Simmons?
No.
I didn't see it, and I stuck around for a while. I didn't see it, but I did hear about it on Marlon's podcast.
Marlon said he was going up to look like he was going to swap jerseys with Simmons, but Simmons still had his helmet on. He was like obviously looking for Odell. He's like, what's going on? So he's going to take his jersey off and stuff, but then after he sees Simmons is gone, next thing he sees is he says Rod, who Rodney apparently is their security, the head of security for the Ravens. And he called his name out. And he said, anytime he said, well, players, like, we hear Rod's name, then something's going down.
Yeah.
So they called him. They said next thing he knows, he sees is Odell and Simmons just throwing punches. They say Odell grabbed him by the face, man. They just start. I mean, they were a legit fight. But they said it stemmed from the PI call that Odell forced. That Odell got, by he flopped a little bit. He got that veteran call, but apparently he was talking.
Yeah.
They showed Odell going back to the sideline, still talking to Simmons, like talking trash. And I guess Simmons was like, all right, I'll see you after the game, and just kept it after the game. So,
yeah,
I'll say, because it didn't happen on camera, I don't think they're going to do anything. I think
if
it happened on camera.
There's no video of it right now.
Yeah, I think if they happen on camera, maybe. But I don't think there's no video of it. The only reason we know about it is because of Marlon. Marlon said it. I don't think the NFL is going to do anything at this point. They may advise the teams to do their own disciplining or whatever that may be. But Odell's a veteran; they ain't going to do it. It's one of those things. And the other thing is too, at least from the Ravens standpoint, they can always say he came looking for him. Odell wasn't looking for Simmons. Yep. Simmons came looking for him. So Odell was on our sideline. We were all chatting it up, talking with the media and stuff like that. He came looking for him. So he was to defend. He's a right to defend himself. So, all right. Well, that's it. Good show. Hope the Ravens pull this one out on Sunday. It's to get this roll going. Love to get this roll going. Win, start stacking 3 or 4 wins together.
And let's hopefully never see Devin Duvernay get walked down by a punter.
Oh man, I know the crowd was cheering. I know the crowd was cheering, but you could tell when as he's running back to the sideline, let's get the guys are like, really, dude?
Yeah.
Come on, you gotta come on, man. Come on.
The whole crowd was saying, "Wow, a punter." Wow.
I know as he came back to the sideline, like using everybody else is like, that was a good run, that's a good run. On sideline, football players like, come on. The punter.
Really, dude?
Anybody that's a punt returner or a kick returner, right? You don't let the kicker or the punter tackle you.
No,
You don't.
never.
They gonna take Keaton off that. You know what I mean? They'll take him off that. They'll put him right in that spot.
They'll put Keaton right there. I bet you Keaton can score a touchdown there.
Yeah.
Keaton scored a touchdown. All right, so that's it. So it should be some good football this week. I said I'm definitely looking forward to that Dolphins Chiefs game Sunday Night Football. So hopefully the Ravens win, a good ride home, and I can watch that game Sunday Night Football. So thank you guys for watching, listening as well, and we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.
Trade Bateman.